everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And it's Manchester Derby weekend. Can't wait for that game tomorrow. 4:30 kickoff. Ollie did his press conference yesterday afternoon. He said that there's no further injuries. He touched on he mentioned David De Gea. He's in Spain. His girlfriend has given birth to their first child, and he wanted to be over there in Spain, which you can't blame him for. He said he's gone over there with the club's good wishes. So whether when he'll come back and how long he might have to quarantine for is anybody's guess. I don't really know the answer to that one, but it could be that he's missing for a few games. We've only got 5 games left before the international break, haven't we? We've got the AC Milan games either side of the league game against West Ham, and then to finish off we've got Leicester in the cup before we have an international break. It wouldn't surprise me one little bit if we didn't see David De Gea now until after the international break. If he was going to miss, he's certainly missing the derby. We don't play AC Milan till Thursday, but I wouldn't have thought he'd come back and be able to quarantine in time for that game. So perhaps, if there's 3 more games after that, one of them being AC Milan again, which you might expect Henderson to play in that game anyway, that would only leave like the West Ham game and the Leicester game. It might be the opportune moment to see if Henderson handles it well and plays well in his successive games. Numerous successive games for us. It could be a good moment for Dean Henderson, and maybe also for Ollie while he gets a chance to see his keeper playing in consecutive matches in some serious games. So I think there's a chance that could happen. We might not see David De Gea back between the sticks. I'm probably wrong. You'll probably find out that he's back next Thursday night. But it's just my thoughts. I would have thought it'd be a good time to give him a breather, take him out of the firing line, and let him come back at his leisure once he's spent some time with his wife and his new baby. And congratulations to them both at the same time, by the way. I'm going to have a stab at what I think the team might be, what I'd like the team to be, and I think there's a great chance of the team being close to what I'd like it to be this weekend. I really do, and I'll explain that when I come to it. I'll come back to that in a minute. I just want to mention a couple of things that I put on Twitter last night that seems to cause a bit of a stir. I was sat watching the Crystal Palace game again, like I do. I always watch them a couple of times, and I was always watching the game again. A couple of things caught my eye, and I've mentioned 2 of them. There was more than 2 caught my eye actually, and I put 2 of them on Twitter, a couple of clips, and I'm speaking over them on there. And I often get a little bit of abuse from people for the things that I put up. I promise you faithfully, the things that I've put up are perfectly fair, perfectly reasonable comments. They're on there on Rick the Red UK if you want to look at them on Twitter. The first one was about Edinson Cavani. I'd only just mentioned on Twitter that that Anthony Martial, in my opinion, is still our best number 9. People are talking about Cavani's movement in the box. I've got nothing against Cavani. When I say nothing against him, I've got things against and things for any player. Of course I have, but I'm not saying I've not got a witch hunt for him. I've not got any reason to say that I don't like him. I like Cavani. I think he's a top player, and his goal scoring record in Europe is absolutely unbelievable. The 3rd most goals in the big European leagues behind Messi and Ronaldo for the last so many years, however long it is, the last 7 or 8 years. But there's more to the game than that. If he was scoring goals at that sort of rate now that he's come to us, he did start with a little bit of a flurry of goals, but they've dried up a little bit. And I'm not blaming him for them drying up either. I'm not blaming him for them drying up. You need good players around you. You need chances to be created for you. You need decent delivery into the box. There's all different reasons. So I'm not knocking him for not scoring goals. I'm really not. When I'm defending Anthony Martial, who's not scoring goals as well, how can I knock Cavani for not scoring goals? But what I had just said on Twitter was that I still think Anthony Martial's our best number 9. And for our team, I think he is. I think we need to get hold of the ball. I just said this. This is all coincidental, by the way, that I happened to spot this. I spotted this on the game after I'd done that tweet, what I'm going to talk about. But I'll just add to the fact that I'd already said weeks ago that that Cavani cost us a goal against Liverpool in a cup where he played it first time where he should have held it. You can't look at a game and say such a player would have done this. Everybody's guilty of saying that. I probably did it. Marshall would have held that. All you can say is that more often than not, Anthony Marshall would have got hold of that ball. Maybe on that occasion he'd have played it first time. We'll never know. But against Liverpool, the ball came out of the box. He's there to protect it, to try and give us a chance to get out, maybe win us a free kick. I'll say till I'm blue in the face that Anthony Marshall's great at that. Anthony Marshall probably would have held that ball up and might well have won us a free kick, or at least held the ball until he had somebody to pass it to. But Cavani tried to lay it off first time. It went straight to one of the Liverpool players and they scored. Then against Everton at Old Trafford, one of their goals, he flicked a ball down the line when he should have really tried to get hold of it. There's nobody behind him. There's nobody to flick it to. He flicked it down the line. He could have tried to get hold of the ball. On that occasion, there might have been 4, 5, 6 more passes, but even so, it led to a goal for Everton. It might have been 10 or 15 seconds later, but it was the last time that we touched the ball, and he needs to try and get that ball down and not just be flicking it on. You've got to try and control it. So this is the sort of football I'm talking about. So I believe you need a striker to do that. That's not just a defensive thing, by the way. On those 2 occasions, it's cost us goals, but it's also good for us to get the ball down, because obviously if we get hold of the ball and pass it, we've got a chance to start moving forward. It's a defensive thing and an attacking thing at the same time. Now, so I was watching the game last night, the Palace game, and their goalkeeper's taking a goal kick. It sails over Cavani's head, which is I expect it to, and Cavani is a yard or 2 offside because obviously he's watching the goalkeeper kick it, but he understands that he's then got to get back on side. So it sails over his head into our half. He steps on side and Bailey heads the ball back to him. When the Bailey heads the ball, Cavani knows where to be. He knows that one of our centre-backs is going to try and head it straight back. So he knows where to be. So he's standing in the correct position. I think it's Bailey who wins the header. It comes more or less straight back to him. It's a yard to his right. It's a yard off the floor. And he deliberately, so he's obviously trying to pass it. He's not just kicking it willy-nilly, so to speak. He's obviously trying to pass it. But he kicks it back on the volley. It's a difficult thing to do. Into our half. Doesn't go to anybody. There's a big scramble for the ball. I think we do actually come out with the ball in the end. But we basically have to win the ball again in our own half when the ball's been headed to Cavani. I believe Anthony Marshall will be trying to bring that ball down. If you bring that ball down, you've got a great chance of they come into you. They don't like you to get that ball down and have time. You're winning a free kick, or if they don't come into you, you've got hold of it and you can pass it and you can start a move. So I spotted this and I put it up on Twitter. And I have said on Twitter that it's a one-off that he'll do something like that. He volleys it back into his own half, but it's not a one-off that he plays it first time too often. So there's different strengths and weaknesses of different players. And although Cavani's goal-scoring record is fantastic, but it's only decent for us, by the way. It's not fantastic for us, it's just decent for us. But it was fantastic before. But if he was playing with better players, better wingers, he would get more goals. I get that. But playing as we're playing, I think the more valuable player for us would be Anthony Marshall, who's going to get the ball down and give us a chance to build up the field. When you've got a striker like Cavani and you're not getting decent delivery into the box for him, there's not, he's not being anywhere near as effective as he would be if he was playing with people who got decent delivery into the box. And I think we need a player who holds the ball better because, like I say, no delivery into the box. Cavani might be better than Marshall in the box, but we're not putting the ball in the box. So let's get Marshall in. Let's get him to hold the ball up. Let's try and build the play up. That's the way I see it. So put that on Twitter. That didn't go down very well. The next one went down even worse. It's vitally important. Well, it's not vitally important for fans to understand, but as a footballer or a coach or a manager, it's vitally important that you can see a player making a mistake that you shouldn't be making, that there's no excuse to be making, no excuse at all. I put a clip up of their keeper taking a goal kick and knocking the ball probably 15 to 20 yards, 15 yards say, into our half, and Eric Bailey attacking that ball and getting underneath it and having to jump to reach it and only just reaching it and it coming off the top of his head and going out for a throw-in to Crystal Palace. He should be heading that ball back where it's come from. Just funnily enough, pretty similar to what happened to on the Cavani one. On the Cavani one that I've just spoken about, that's a goal kick, and it gets headed back towards him. That's the way it should be going. It's a bit funny, really, that it's two similar things. You never know the moment when that could be the moment that builds up to a chance for you. So it's not just about defending well, but if you're going to head it back the way it's come from and you've got a striker there, I mean, on one clip, Cavani doesn't take it down. If he does take it down, maybe we build an attack. Maybe that's the moment we scored a goal. Obviously, you can't say, oh, we would have scored. We're around the halfway line and all the players are around the halfway line. But we want to go that way, they want to go this way, and we're flicking headers on and they're going for a throw into them. If we can get it going back that way more often, every now and again, it might only be once every 8 games or something, but by heading it correctly in the right direction, every now and again, it'll lead to your team getting a goal. It's not just about defending properly, it's about trying to go the opposite way. So, one or two of the answers, one or two people questioning me, sort of, what somebody, one person put up, Lindelof did a similar thing against Palace and it cost us a goal. Lindelof didn't do anything like similar. This clip that I've put up about Eric Bailey is watching the ball, getting kicks up the field, is attacking the ball without any challenge. All you've got to do is time your run and time your jump and meet the ball full on with your forehead and head it back the way it's coming. It's a simple thing to do and good, and I mean this seriously. I mean it seriously. I played a lot of Sunday League football. A really good Sunday League centre-back would not make that mistake. I'm deadly serious. You can laugh all you want if you're going to start saying don't talk silly. I'm not being silly. Good centre-backs, don't get me wrong here, the one that somebody mentioned about against Palace, Lindelof's being challenged. In fact, the lad who challenges him, I think it's Ayew, he might even win the header. So when there's two of you jumping together and your heads are there and you're muscling each other, it's a different situation. It's a completely different situation. So, and he might even lose the header. I'm not suggesting that you can never lose an header. I'm not suggesting that you can't mistime an header when you're under pressure. And also another one that got mentioned, somebody put, well, Maguire did a sloppy header in our box that cost us a goal against Newcastle. I'm not defending it. I'm trying to explain the difference. There's a ball into the box and the box is crowded. And you've got to make a split-second decision. And I believe Harry Maguire should have headed it over his own bar. I think it is a mistake. But there's a big difference between a mistake of a split-second decision where it's a little bit of an unusual situation, 7 or 8 yards out, and heading the ball over your own crossbar, which is, I think, is what he should have done. It's a little bit of an unusual situation. How many times do you say a centre-back win the ball 8 yards from his own goal and head it over his own crossbar? Which I think is what he should have done. But how many times do you see a centre-back win an header 15 yards inside his own half that's been kicked by the opposite goalkeeper and head it back the way it came, especially when you're not under pressure? I tell you what, you might have to watch 50 Premier League games before you see a centre-back mistime that. You should not be mistiming a jump unchallenged to head the ball back the way it's come from when it's been travelling a long way. That's another thing about corners. Corners and free kicks into the box. Not only is it crowded and you're watching the ball coming over people, that's not the case when their goalkeeper's kicking it high and long. Corners and free kicks, they come in with a lower trajectory. You're watching them coming close to other people. You're not sure if somebody else is going to get ahead on it. There's all sorts of different things. They're coming in with more pace. They're not coming in from such a distance. When a corner kick comes in, even if it's a floaty corner kick, because it's only the corner flag's only 40 yards from you, even if it's a floaty corner kick, sometimes you've got to back up quickly, or you've got to move to your right quickly, or move to your left quickly, because the ball gets played, and because it's only it's a shorter distance away, it's with you, it's on you quicker. So you've got to move quicker, you've got to think quicker. There's one situation on a football pitch which is unusual to any other situation, and that is when a goalkeeper takes a goal kick and a centre-back gets a chance to head it without a challenge. Sometimes you're challenged. If you're challenged, I'm not saying it's easy. If you're challenged, the centre-forward might beat you. I've seen Calvert-Lewin knocking people about, elbows and jumping into people, getting flick-ons. That's difficult. When it's not difficult is when you're not challenged. So you're not challenged, you've got a long time to see the ball. It's coming from their 6-yard box. They usually kick it to 15 or 20 yards inside your half. It's travelling 60 yards, maybe a bit more at times. It's travelling 60 yards in the air. You're unchallenged, and all you've got to do is keep your eye on that ball, and you've got to time your run. You've not got to get underneath it. If you get underneath it, that's because you've done it wrong. There's no other reason. You've done it wrong. You need to step back, you need to attack it, and you need to meet it. Steve Bruce used to bring them down on his chest. Steve Bruce would have brought that ball down on his chest in his heyday. So it's very poor, and I'm not making any apology for putting that up, because just as it is with passing the ball, controlling the ball, as I did the player in focus last night, which was Marcus Rashford. I've pointed out lots of silly mistakes that we need to rule out of our game. We need to stop letting the ball go under the foot. We need to stop miscontrolling it. We need to stop picking silly passes out when there's simple passes on. And just as I've put that clip up about Eric Bailey getting underneath that ball and heading it backwards and going out for a throw-in for them, that should not be happening. It really should not be happening. Don't get me wrong, as I've said, if you're under a challenge, if you lose the challenge, or even if you can't edit properly because you're under challenge, that's fine. When you've got a free header, it's not acceptable. You've got to do better. And it is very poor. I say that on the clip, and I make no apology for saying it. And I'll be watching for the next time I see. As I've just said, by the way, somebody said Lindelof against Palace at home, and I've looked at it. It's nothing like the same. Trust me, it's nothing like the same. So I'll be watching for the next time I see that happening. And I was about to say, I lose my words. I get a bit flustered on the clip when I've put it on Twitter. And I started to say, but I went off at a tangent. But I started to say I'd put money on it, and I will put money on it the next time I see a United centre-back miss time a free header that's come from their goalkeeper, which is an easy header for a centre-back to cover. The next time I see one of our centre-backs miss time one of those headers, I'll say it'll be Eric Bailey again, and I will put money on it. It's very poor. So that's that on Twitter. Yeah, yesterday, a couple of clips that I put on, and they're there to see on Rick the Red UK. The team for tomorrow, as I say, I don't think there's any further injuries. Martial, they're hoping for him to be fit. This thing about Marcus Rashford, his shoulder, I think he's fit to play, but surely it's time to give him a rest. All this, there's a lot of pressure on about his performances. He's had this shoulder injury on and off now for weeks and weeks and weeks. He's playing every game. Surely it's time to give him a rest. Surely. So I'm going to have a stab at what the team is. Obviously, David De Gea is in. I'm going to explain each and every one. Obviously, David De Gea is in Spain with his girlfriend and his new baby, and Henderson will obviously continue in goal. Wan-Bissaka will play at right back. I'm sure of that. Just been speaking about the differences between the two centre backs, and we do need to eradicate simple mistakes like that. And I think that's one of the reasons that Lindelof and Maguire are his two favourite centre-backs. I'm not saying they never make simple mistakes, but that's a basic error. What the one I've spoken about is a basic error. It's not just a misplaced pass. It's a basic error. And Lindelof and Maguire will be the two centre-backs. I've got no doubt about that. And Luke Shaw will be at left-back. The two central midfield players have often been quoted as saying that my favourite pairing will be McTominay and Matic. I'm going to get my excuses in before I start. No matter what team we pick, this is a thankless task getting a point this weekend at City, or a win even better. But even a point that, they're absolutely on fire, City, aren't they? Is it 23 wins on the bounce or something? Unbelievable tally of wins on the bounce. And I think this weekend we might, for the first time in a while, see McTominay and Matic. Why do I think that? Fred, rather unusually, got substituted at Palace the other night. Matic, I thought, was playing well. I thought he was playing better than Fred. They wanted to bring McTominay on because we needed a goal, and McTominay is more of a goal threat than either Matic or Fred. But with Fred being the automatic starter week in, week out, virtually every match Fred starts, I was amazed when he brought McTominay on that he didn't take Matic off. Not that I would have done that. Not a chance would I have taken Matic off. I wouldn't have even started. My favourite pairing would be McTominay and Matic. But I was surprised that he took Fred off to bring McTominay on. But I would play McTominay and Matic this weekend, and I think there's a chance that the gaffer might play McTominay and Matic. I think a penny might have just dropped the other night, that we hold the ball a little better with Matic, the passing's a bit better. I have to repeat this. Anybody who's heard me say it before, I apologise. But for new viewers, I have to say it. It's not just about pass completions. You might say to me, well, he had 90% and he had 85%. But it's about how you pass it, the weight that you pass it with. If it's no good all your passes being completed if they're directly at the man rather than just in front when he wants it just in front. If you're passing it to a forward, it's no good if he's overstretching for it. It's about how good your passes are. Pass completion rates are not the be all and end all. So if somebody's if someone's got a 90% pass completion rate, someone else has got an 85% pass completion rate, to start with, he might have been more under pressure on 3 or 4 or 5 of the ones where he gave it away, and he might have given it away when he wasn't under pressure 2 or 3 times. So there's all sorts of different things that you've got to take into account. And then on top of that, some of his passes might not be particularly good passes, even though the man managed to get him. It might not get, even if you don't keep it under control and you lose it straight away. It's still a completed pass. So the pass completion rates, I'm not interested in them unless they're absolutely massive, the gaps. If someone, if you can say he's got 90% and he's got 70%, then, well, right, let's have a look at this. But if it's 85% to 90% or 78% to 82%, I'm not interested. Let's have a look at the players. Right, so I think, I've got a feeling McTominay, I'm probably wrong, but I'm going with McTominay and Matic this weekend, and I'd love it to be McTominay and Matic. I think Bruno will play at number 10, and then up front, Dan James has played a few games, started a few games. I've got a feeling he might have even been left out of the Palace game with the knowledge that he was going to play against City, so I think Dan James is going to play, I really do. He'll probably play on the right in place of Mason Greenwood. And then on the left, going back to the Anfield game, I've mentioned this a few times before, Martial played on the left. And I believe Martial played on the left because I think his knowledge of team shape, people talk about his work rate, I'm not having that at all. His work rate's perfectly adequate, perfectly fine. And when it comes to playing as a wide left player, I think his knowledge of where to be on the pitch and when to be... Actually, somebody put up on Twitter the other day the average position of Anthony Martial in the game at Anfield, and it's about 2 yards in front of Luke Shaw. That's all it is. He was in that game because we knew it was going to be a defensive game. Liverpool then, and not the Liverpool of now, by the way. I know it's only 6 weeks ago or something, but the Liverpool have gone completely since that day. We were expecting a tough game that day. We were happy with a draw, and Anthony Martial played a perfectly fine game as a defensive style player, playing wide left of a 4-man midfield, or even a 5-man midfield if you count Bruno as a midfield player. I count number 10 as a support striker. So Martial was wide left of a 4-man midfield that day, and I think that is the role that he'll take for this game. I think he trusts Martial better, so long as he's fit, of course, to track Kyle Walker like he did Trent Alexander, which then leaves a position at number 9, which at Anfield we used Rashford there, but I've got a feeling Rashford will get a rest this weekend, and I think Cavani will play there. So to recap, I think it'll be Henderson in goal. I think it'll be one, but when I say think, I just hope this is the team, and I think there's a good chance it will be. Let's put it that way. I'm not saying I think it will be, but I think there's a fair chance. So I'm going for Henderson in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. I'm going for McTominay and Matic, Bruno at number 10, and I'm going for Dan James, Edison Cavani and Anthony Martial. I'm going to keep that bit of paper right there until the live show on Sunday afternoon, and I can't wait to see how close I get to that. So that's that for this morning. There's plenty of live football today, by the way. I forgot this bit. Burnley versus Arsenal at 12:30 on BT1. I wish I hadn't got a league table to hand. I think Arsenal will be safe from relegation if they win that game today. I think they put Burnley well behind them. That's a bit tongue-in-cheek. Well, not a bit, it's a lot tongue-in-cheek. But I think Arsenal will be safe if they beat Burnley today. Should put more daylight between them. That's live on BT1 at 12:30. Sheffield United versus Southampton, live on Sky at 3 o'clock. Villa versus Wolves live on Sky at 5:30. Villa seems to be struggling a little bit while Grealish is out injured. I don't know if that's a coincidence. Sometimes it is. Don't just assume it's because somebody's missing. It's a funny old game. They might have lost these games. They just lost to Sheffield United the other day, didn't they? But we lost to Sheffield United. Don't assume if Jack Grealish would have played, they would have won. Villa are on a little bit of a downer at the moment, but they've got Wolves at 5:30 live on Sky. Also live at 5:30, BT2, by the way, could be an interesting game if you're at all interested in it. Bayern versus Borussia Dortmund. I've noticed Bayern and Leipzig are the top two. Bayern are 2 points clear. That's all of Leipzig at the minute, and Dortmund I think they're in 5th or 6th. They're well behind Bayern. I think they're 13 points behind Bayern, but it is one of the tougher fixtures. So Bayern versus Dortmund, that's also on Sky. On BT2 at 5:30. That one I might flick between the two unless if Bayern are walking it, I'll stick with Villa and Wolves. And then at 8 o'clock on Sky tonight, Brighton versus Leicester. That's an interesting one for us. I fancy that to be a draw. Brighton are a proper tough nut to crack these days. So if I'm right in that, if that is a draw, that's live on Sky at 8 o'clock, Brighton, Leicester. Leicester will draw level pegging with us again on points until we play tomorrow and see if we can nudge ahead of them again tomorrow. So that's it for now. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed that show, please subscribe. Please tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.